Hello guys and welcome back to Technical Beast. So I'm actually here today with Nathaniel and Pricey online, and we're actually getting a lot of things being done. It's looking really nice and we're going to be very productive today. Now I was thinking of doing a tunnel bore this episode, but I think we will have to hold off on it until next time because I had to think about it, and I did build one in single player, so you can go look at that if you want kind of a tutorial on how to make one. But for here, I wanted to do a slightly more insane one, at least. A proper server size one. Now in my single player, it went 7,000 blocks length overnight. So instead of having it going distance on this world, I'd rather it do amount of blocks. So a really big faced tunnel bore would be really cool, if the server can hold it up. And it wouldn't need to go very far to get even more materials. Now, because of the vast amount of materials it would be getting, this system has to be able to service it all, otherwise we'll get a huge backlog of certain materials and it won't be very fun. So it'd be nice just to be able to make a tunnel bore start going and not have to turn it off, or not have to turn it off when we don't need it. No, just leave it running for as long as we want to. And because of this, I need to finish setting up certain machines. So, I've got these industrial grinders set up, which I've been putting off, as well as blast furnaces. So I've got 8 industrial blast furnaces, 8 industrial grinders, and they'll be powered by this bit in the middle. Should be quite easy. And I'm going to set it up the same way as I did in single player, because that worked really well. And then hopefully we can get rid of some of the backlog of materials we have before we set up a new way of getting materials. So up here, I've been also talking to Pricey and Nathaniel. And Nathaniel, as you know, is doing really well with his bees, and they're being rather productive. Now, because of this, he's producing a lot of his own little piles of tiny stuff. Most of these ones here actually are his ones, coming through. So they need to be sorted as well. So I didn't know about them, so he's added them in here, and they should be on the filtering system now as well, so that he can send them through here. Then we can autocraft them as well. Now, additionally, this one here is tiny piles of emerald. Now, to make this into proper emerald, we've got to use an implosion compressor. Now, the one down here last time, I set up just for iridium plates down here. And I'd rather keep it just for iridium plates as well. So I'll probably set up another implosion compressor just for the emeralds, which would be quite nice. Additionally, Price is moving his scrap production down here. I don't know if it's working yet. He's been doing it just recently. And that should be okay. Doesn't use much EU at all. I think they only use 1 EU per tick each, or something silly like that. And they should be producing scrap for the EU matter, which would be nice. And then Nathaniel's also moving in his machines from his area, because they don't want to clutter it up. And also looks much nicer if he just has just the bees there, rather than having the output of it there as well. So he's going to send through the stuff to the centrifuges, and he's also doing squeezers as well. Are these centrifuges? Yeah, they're centrifuges. He's also going to set up squeezers as well. He's also going to set up his stuff for his liquid honey, and also his which is the other one? Liquid honey, and what's the other thing bees do? Okay, the other thing bees do anyway. It's gone off my head at the moment. Doesn't really matter. Anyway, he's setting up 2 tanks for that, which would be quite nice. Oh, seed oil, there we are. Seed oil and liquid honey. There you are, and you'll get there. So that'd be quite nice, and I need to set up my machines as well, and my sorting system. So we're going to get going with this, and we'll talk to the other guys, and get some progress done. And I'll get back to you with an update. I just wanted to show you sort of the before and after. So, I'll see you guys in a bit. So, it's done, and it took quite a lot longer than I even anticipated. I've done this in single player, a similar thing, and that took me a very long time to work out how to do it and everything else, and I thought if I copied it over here it would be quite quick, but gosh, configuring all these, placing all of them, checking them, take absolutely forever. So let's go through the industrial grinder first. I'm powering them from this massive load of batteries. They do have a use, coming to a sorting machine here. Now the same principle as my Let's Play on my single player. Items come through from the middle tesseract from the sorting system, goes through either this one or that one over there, comes through to the relay, which you need one, then has to go through a pipe, then has to go through a sorting machine. Now this is just a really easy way of getting around having different types of grinders. So I've got 3 grinders doing water, and yes, they probably should be blue and the other one yellow, but oh well. And this one here, the blue one, goes and does mercury cells. So for the higher output one, so I've got at the moment ferrous ore going through the mercury, and the rest so far going through just normal water one. Now I haven't set up the mercury cells yet, but I will do, but I can't face doing that today. I really can't, but this is all set up on the front so that this tesseract would bring the mercury cells in. Everything else would be already sorted out, so that's fine. And the same for the other side. Just comes down, gets sorted. Power is quite simple. Tesseract to bring the items out of the front of the face. Send it into a tesseract. Nice and simple. Very good. And I've just dropped down the power from there to an MV to each side. So it's quite nice there. And actually this side isn't powered up, is it? See, you do all this and you place so many different blocks. Doesn't even need to be done, does it? Oh. Doesn't really matter about that one, but it would be a bit more equal on the power distribution doing that. Have I done that on the other side? I don't know. Yes, I have. Yeah, let's add them in, just for the sake of it. So they're all powered, and that should be fine. They're good. Now onto the blast furnaces, they're a bit more simple. And I'm using barrels because I like using barrels. Don't say anything against them, I like them. Just basically use an inventory, which you're not going to have anything in. So I've used little tiny piles of tungsten because, you know, why not? And just got a input on each side going up to the router, sending items into these. And mainly because I'm using the hoppers here, because if you look in here, I've got loads and loads of tungsten. I've got loads and loads of tungsten backed up still to be processed, so it's going to be quite a few hours getting rid of all of this. I used up maybe 2/3 of it in the system so far. And they take, I think it's a minute per one, or a minute and a half per one or something. If you look in here, there must be tungsten in here quickly. They take 100 seconds, so it's over a minute and a half per go. So each one of these stacks is about 100 minutes worth. So even that 4 stacks there, no, 6 hours or something. Yeah. So you don't want items in here that are being ejected constantly downwards, which would happen in the relays, for 6 hours at a go. For here you might get it for a couple of minutes or something. I could change these to hoppers as well, but you might get a flood of stuff coming through. Whereas this stuff, you shouldn't get it through as often. And when you do, when you get the aluminium come through, like this, it actually gets done a lot quicker, so it doesn't really matter. And that should be okay. When it all gets through the system, then we can start mining. But for now, it's going to take quite a while to go through. And making the machine filters is an absolute pain. So they come through, and as you can see in the inventories, they go through the barrels, go into the relays themselves, and then, not the relays, the hoppers, and they get sucked out the front and sent into their own tesseracts. Very simple, goes back to the main stuff, gets sorted again. But now I want to sit down and do this. I believe that's everything so far. I'm sure there'll be more things to come, but I'm going to make a design, probably put it maybe on the top here, make it nice ring around, could be nice, so that when we come in here, I probably want to move the teleporter over here somewhere, so that you actually come in here, not over there somewhere. That was only meant to be a storage thing. And then maybe have a nice roof and the top of the building so we can see out the jungle, and then have a long ring around with a pipe on, so that all the items come through the system, and then maybe have filters every now and then moving to like a grid of this, so that they come in the bottom, come in the chest, get automatically crafted, and then you send them out again. Could be nice. And then you might also want to set up your own station, so when the items are coming through, you might set up something maybe to make circuits or something, and then you just dump those things into the relay, not the relay, the sorting machine, and then when they come through, they automatically craft whatever you want. So that's what I'll work on now. It might take me a little while again, but I'll set it up to begin with, and I'll be back to you with one more update. And here we are, a few days later, and a few things changed. So I finished setting up Nathaniel's side for the bees here, and actually I'm just flowing everything through the system. sort of flushing it out like I did a while ago, trying to clear out the chests. So things that aren't normally sorted, I'm putting back into here, and this is always extracting it out, throwing it back into the system, so that if I see something in here that there's a large quantity of, say these combs, then they can go into the system and get sorted, and then not come back into here. So eventually there'll be less and less here as I find things to auto craft and stuff like that. But for the moment, it's doing okay, and I moved quite a lot of stuff. Now, there was a lot of barrels around here, as you can see actually. Look how much stuff's going through these pipes, it's ridiculous. Yeah, not good. So there was lots of these barrels sitting around with things like dust in. So we had something like 700 stacks of tin dust, and that sort of thing needed to just be smelted. So I was really testing the system as well. I was putting into one of these things here, where this is extracting from the bottom of the barrels and throwing it through to Tesseract really fast. So I didn't actually manage to overflow any of the machines at all. And I've gone and made a start of an auto crafting system now, and what I'm going to show you here is doing that. So if I just do from bottom and send a load through, we'll be conservative with this one because this isn't quite at its highest limit, but when there isn't a gigantic pile of them to go through, then it'll work fine. So over here, I've extended the battery boxes up. I'm probably able to remove those ones over there though, and just keep a blue wire. I want to try and build this into kind of a frame of a roof here, then take the rest of the forest off, and maybe do a dome over it. Could be quite nice. I'm not too artistic with building though, so I don't really know how much I'm going to get done with that myself. And then in here is the aluminium coming out, and that's going into blocks and being sent through here. So basically, where I have my sorting machine here, sending the items through, it's then coming into this one at the end, and then coming through the relay. Now, I know there's tons of ways you could do this, and this definitely isn't the most compact, but there's just an easier way of doing it, and I can just keep extending this. There's no rush to get the materials auto crafted straight away, because most of the stuff is just coming from things like the bees and normal mining, and we're not really in instant demand for that. So I had to come around a few different changes that I thought would help. So basically things come in, they go through the relay, but you need that to bring it out of here. Then you've got each junction has two filters on, each of them filtering two types of things. Now this is the principle that all these chests on the sides will never ever fill up unless there is a gigantic overflow, like that ton of aluminium I have to send through. Then it sends it into each side, so first bit sorts 4 items, 2 items of each go into each side, and then there's 2 fabricators that will make blocks out of them on each side, or dust, and then I've just got gates pulsating, pulling them back to the middle and sending them back through the system. Now I'm only doing this because at the bottom I've got frames. I haven't got any on me though, and that's just so that I've put a panel or a cover on the top so that the pipes don't connect up with these tesseracts. Otherwise I had them coming through and then going straight back out, which was not the point of the system. So this is, no, it's going to be not the most lag free or anything else, but to be honest it's going to work very well. So all these things are going to come across, and what I can do is customize this a lot. So at the moment it's sorting 2 of each item all the way across, apart from maybe the end here. This hasn't got anything through. Yep, so this one's spare at the moment. And what I can do is set up a, because I've got this wire coming across, I was going to use the sorting machines first of all, but it's a little bit complicated going from each pipe in a very short space. It's not really worth time, just isn't. So what I can do is change this filter here to a sorting machine and have it powered by this conduit here, because this conduit is just a normal, let me just break one. These are just the normal jacketed blue wire. Now this is something I found out in my single player just recently, and I was like, oh, I didn't know you could do that. Where we have jacketed the red wire, where it doesn't need support, same for this, but it does electricity instead of signals, which is quite cool. So if I put a sorting machine here, as soon as the items come in, I can have sorting machine maybe for auto crafting diamonds and circuits and stuff. So I've loads of space in the sorting machine to depict which items I want, and then they'll be sent through to a system here, which can then go through and allocate certain amounts of things to autocraft, things like the circuits, diamonds, mainly looking for the diamonds. Probably going to look at industrial TNT, if we can do it here as well. I want to get Exuma to start moving his things over here as well. So if he wants to rebuild his ITNT machine in here somewhere, could be really cool. And also his diamond machine, because he was doing that. I don't want to take over. So this will sort all of the items we had at the moment being autocrafted. So all of these things at the moment, haven't got some of these though, because I haven't got any going through the system. But this one's be creating the bars. I haven't done that one yet, and this one I haven't done into diamonds either yet. They're the only ones I don't think are being autocrafted. But yes, when the bees all connected up, they all produce loads and loads and loads of the tiny piles of emerald and stuff, and they'll be coming into here, one of these ones, and being turned into the emeralds, and then we can then set up an implosion compressor and get all the emeralds out, and it should be really nice. Yep, it's working quite well. So I can turn that filter off. I've got one going all the time at the moment. I think it may be still on. Yes, it is probably. As you can see, all the items going through. But Nathaniel's been doing some changes, so we're going to have a look at how much progression he has there now, because he was adding even more apiaries. Should be this one. I'm going to fly over. I have my don't have my hole on me. Let me just get there, because there's actually a quicker portal. I believe it's this one. Yes, it is. Very good. So he also needed antarctic gates, and I've been cooking tons of them up in my automatic lasers. So I'll give him a bunch of them later on today probably, so he can start setting up all of his stuff, and we can make all of these apiaries really quickly as well. And at the moment he set up even more of these. Let's check the name. Alvarez. Okay. So we've got Industrious. I think they give Royal Jelly, do they? I don't really know actually. Imperial. The radioactive again. We've got Lapis. Now Lapis is overflowing the system like insanity. It's quite hilarious. We've got Emerald, and then we've got Diamond, which is really cool. And if you look on the minimap, if it's the right, okay, not that one. I want to get minimap up. Let me just find that. Ah, there we are. Look at this. This looks amazing. Really nice. Looks really cool. I really like the design. It's a bit pixely on there. If I go this way, it should be in. Ooh. I've got to go right and then forward. Awesome. That's what it looks like at the moment. Ooh. Oh, I can't get it back up. No! There we are. See, that looks really awesome now. Really awesome. So he's definitely going to be the only one in here for a little while, and I'm trying to think of something myself that I want to move in. We do have some projects that we want to get going with, but we're trying to flesh out some ideas and really get something in plan first before we start them. But I will be looking at the quarries next time. You can see he's moved all of his machines out that he had over here, and all of these bees going through. It's ridiculous. He's got this stuff coming through to here still at the moment, I think, unless he stopped processing them. I'm not sure actually. Don't know where the combs go for the moment. But yes, we've got a lot of frames, and my mouse has died. Okay. Okay, there we are. Sorry, I reset my mouse button. Yeah, so that's really what's been going on. And next time we will definitely have a whole episode just for messing around with some crazy red power stuff. Should be really cool. So, thank you for joining me, guys. Sorry about the short episode, and I'll see you next time.